Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pariva Jakacharya Astotara Sata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhuma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jaya Shri Rupa Sanata Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Gunas Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. ISKCON Bhartma Guru Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Brahmanande. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Java Narottamam Devam Saraswatam Vyasa Tato Niridayat Nasta Preshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhagavati Naishtaki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by the rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. All right. Good morning, everybody. It's been a while since we had this many people in Bhagavatam class, so that's nice. So today is November 11th, 2025. We're reading Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, the activities of the Prachetas, and we're doing verse 22. Pracheta Sauchu. Namo Namaha Klesha Vinashanaya. Nirupito Dara Guna Ayaya. Mano Vacha Veka Purojavaya. Sarvakshama Gatad Ane Namaha. Namo Namaha Klesha Vinashanaya. Nirupito Dara Guna Vayaya. Mano Vacho Vega Purojavaya. Sarvakshama Gatad Ane Namaha. Namo Namaha Klesha Vinashanaya. Nirupito Dara Guna Vayaya. Mano Vacha Veka Purojavaya. Sarvakshama Gatad Namaha. Pracheta Sauchahu. Namo Namah Klesha Vinashanaya. Nirupito Dara Guna Vayaya. Mano Vacha Vega Purojavaya. Sarvakshama Gatad Namaha.
Namo Namah Klesha Vinashanaya.
Namo Namah Klesha Vinashanaya. Nirupito Dara Guna Vayaya.
Mano Vacha Vega Purojavaya.
Mano Vacha Vega Purojavaya.
Sarvakshama Gatad Namaha.
Sarvakshama Gatad Namaha.
Namo Klesha Vinashanaya.
Namo Namah Klesha Vinashanaya. Nirupito Dara Guna Vayaya. Mano Vacha Vega Purojavaya. Sarvakshama Gatad Namaha.
Namo Namah Klesha Vinashanaya.
Namo Namah Klesha Vinashanaya. Nirupito Dara Guna Vayaya. Mano Vacha Vega Purojavaya. Sarvakshama Gatad Namaha. Namo Namah Klesha Vinashanaya. Nirupito Dara Guna Vayaya. Mano Vacha Vega Purojavaya. Sarvakshama Gatad Namaha. Namo Namah Klesha Vinashaya. Nirupito Dara Gunavayaya. Mano Vacho Vega Parojavaya. Sarvakshamagaragathadane Namaha. All right, before who be about, there's like one word that jumps out to me. Any guesses?
Talking about the words and stomach.
What?
Talking about one's mind, words, stomach, something.
Okay. I was thinking of klesha, right? What's a klesha?
Burn up.
Huh?
Burn up.
What?
Burn up.
Yes, it's burn. I don't remember. Oh no, Klesha, I don't remember.
Is it distress?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Word for word. Prachetasa uchuhu. The Prachetas said, Namaha, obeisances. Namaha, obeisances. Klesha, material distress. Vanashanaya, Vanashanaya. Unto one who destroys. Nirupita, settled. Udara, magnanimous. Guna, qualities. Avyaya, or whose name? Manaha, of the mind. Vachaha, of speech. Vega, the speed. Puraha, before. Javaya, whose speed. Sarva aksha, of all material senses. Margayi, by the paths. Agata, not perceivable. Advane, whose course. Namaha, we offer our respects. Okay, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Prachetas spoke as follows. Dear Lord, you relieve all kinds of material distress. Your magnanimous transcendental qualities and holy name are all auspicious. This conclusion is already settled. You can go faster than the speed of mind and words. You cannot be perceived by material senses. We therefore offer you respectful obeisances again and again. All right, please repeat. The Prachetas spoke as follows. Dear Lord, you relieve all kinds of material distress. Your magnanimous transcendental qualities and holy name are all auspicious. This conclusion is already settled. You can go faster than the speed of mind and words. You cannot be perceived by material senses. We therefore offer you respectful obeisances again and again. Okay, purport. The word nirupita means concluded. It is very significant in this verse. No one has to conduct research to find God or make progress in spiritual knowledge. Everything is conclusively there in the Vedas. Therefore, the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Vedaischa sarvaraham eva vidya. Understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the process of the Vedas is perfect and conclusive. The Vedas state, Ataha Shri Krishna Indrayi. The transcendental names, forms, bodies, paraphernalia, and pastimes of the Lord cannot be understood by our blunt material senses. Sevan mukhi hi jiva dao svayam eva spiratyadaha. When a devotee engages his senses favorably in devotional service, the Lord, through his causeless mercy, reveals himself to the devotee. This is the conclusive Vedic process. The Vedas also indicate that simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can without a doubt become spiritually advanced. We cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the speed of mind or words, but if we stick to devotional service, we can easily and quickly approach him. In other words, this is attracted by devotional service, and he can approach us more swiftly than him with our mental speculation. The Lord has stated that he is beyond the range of mental speculation and the speed of thought, yet he can be approached easily by his causeless mercy. Thus, only by his causeless mercy can he be attained. Other methods will not be effective. Om Jnana Timiranda Savinanjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stampitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagana Mayam Darati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Savadetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Idam Snanam Om. What goes next? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, I got confused, thought I was bathing the Sheilas there for a minute. Such is the troubles of so many prayers, I suppose. Okay. So in this verse, we see the Pracheta is offering prayers to the Supreme Lord. So the Prachetas, they had just been meditating underwater for like 10,000 years. And finally, the Lord appeared to them. And so now they're saying these beautiful prayers. And again, I think I pointed this out in the last class, and I know Gauranga pointed this out in a previous class. I mean, so 10,000 years they were meditating under the water, doing severe austerities, and they finally got to see the Lord. And so sometimes I will hear people, myself included, kind of saying, "Oh, why am I not, seeing the Lord face to face right now?" Right? Meanwhile, I've only been practicing, for a few years. So, and certainly not underwater. Your fingers getting all wrinkly, and I mean, who even knows what would happen if you're underwater for 10,000 years? Okay, so anyway, and so the Pracheta is one of the things that they're saying is that the Lord relieves distress, and it's said that a devotee, when he becomes self-realized, one of the first symptoms of that is he becomes fearless, right? And that's, if you think about it, because the biggest distress that most people have in the world would be the distress over the fear of death or the fear of loss of control, right? Or those are kind of the same thing. And when you finally understand your true constitutional position, you realize you never had any control to begin with, right? And you also realize that you're an eternal soul. And so by understanding those two things, then naturally you become fearless, because we were never in control to begin with. So Krishna helps us get rid of that distress. And people are trying to come up with so many different ways to relieve that distress, right? They'll save up lots of money in the bank. They'll, get a good education, or they'll make sure their children get a good education, whatever they can to relieve that distress of, not being in control. And or in the very grossest level, people will take intoxication to kind of cover up that distress that they're feeling, right? Or they'll get so involved in various activities, or in pursuing romantic relationships, all these things that people can use to sort of distract themselves from their distress, right? There's a common saying, like when you go through a heartbreak, right? Oh, well, the best way to get over a heartbreak is to start a new relationship, right? But that's terrible advice. It's terrible, terrible advice. But I'm sure we've all heard that before, maybe said in cruder terms than that. But and that's because you're trying to get rid of that distress, sort of distracting yourself from it. But that's unnecessary, because Krishna can come to us faster than we can think of these ways to prevent distress or to distract us from these distresses. And so there's a lot of examples of this in the Bhagavatam. Of course, the first one that came to mind was Draupadi, right? Draupadi was in this assembly, and she was being disrobed. I mean, that's very distressing for any woman, right? Who wants to have, in an assembly full of men, have your clothes removed? I mean, that's very scary. And so Draupadi, she's kind of holding on as best she could. And finally, she just completely surrendered to Krishna. And she just kind of threw up her arms and, hey, Govinda, right? And then Krishna immediately made so that her sari became endless. And so they're pulling and pulling and pulling and trying to take her sari off. And it just was never ending, just endless fabric, right? Because she was calling out to Govinda in just complete surrender. And so Krishna was there to help her. Another example would be Ajamil, right? Ajamil, he was so distressed. He was on his deathbed. He's seeing the Yamadutas come. And, he had, when he was younger, lived a very pious life. And then he got sidetracked and got involved with a loose woman. And it's kind of an old term, I guess. And ended up, shunning his very nice, chaste wife to get with this other woman. And they had so many children together. And he did so many nefarious things to take care of his family, some really bad things. And so, although he had lived a pious life at the beginning of his life, he just really got off track. And so at the time of death, when that happened, here comes the Yamadutas, and they're saying, okay, well, look, this guy and all these terrible things, we're taking him to for trial. And Ajamil, he called out for his son, who was named Narayan. And so that's a name of the Lord, right? But he was calling out for his son, Narayan. And that's also a name of the Lord. And so the Vishnu Dutas heard this, and they came for him. Because Krishna never forgets that service that you do, right? And then the Vishnu Dutas had a kind of back and forth with the Yamadutas, where they sort of argued a little bit about, no, it's us that get to have him. No, it's us. And the Yamadutas actually started having a little bit of a crisis of faith, because they were not aware that Yamaraj was not the supreme, right? And so they're kind of like, well, what do you mean? There's someone that outranks us, And so the Vishnu Dutas explained to him, no, he called out the name of, given another chance. He was given another chance to sort of redeem himself, and which he did. And so that distress that he was in at the end of his life, realizing, oh gosh, I've not lived a very good life, was relieved by Krishna sending the Vishnu Dutas to come and save him. Another example would be Dhruva Maharaj, right? she was quite horrible to him. He was a young boy, and his stepmother sit on his father's lap because he did not come from her womb. I mean, that is really mean to say to a child. And naturally, this was very distressing to him. He wanted to, sit on his father's lap. But it was just really disrespectful, and as he says, he's a Kshatriya. He couldn't just let it go, even though he was only 5 years old, right? And so, he was in such distress. He's telling his mother what happened. And his stepmother said, if you want to sit on your father's lap, then you should pray to the Lord that you can die and be born again from my womb, right? Then you can sit on your father's lap. Right? So she told him to go see the Lord, to go pray to the Lord. So then in great distress, he went to his mother, told his mother what happened. And she basically told him the same thing, but not quite. She said, well, I mean, in one way, she's right. The only person that can fix this situation is the Lord. So you should seek out the Lord. And he said, okay, well, where do I find him? And she said, well, all I know is that the great sages, they go to the forest, right? And so Dhruva did that at 5 years old, went to the forest to seek the Lord. And my favorite part of this whole story is that he's in the forest and he's like walking by, the trees and saying, are you the Lord? Have you seen the Lord? He's seeing an animal. Are you the Lord? Have you seen the Lord? Where is the Lord? And finally, he meets Narada Muni, who instructs him, first tries to convince him to go back home. And he won't. He says, no, I am too upset about this. I'm a Kshatriya. I'm not going to go home. I need to get a kingdom greater than my father's, my grandfather's, my great-grandfather's. And so Narada Muni says, okay, this is what you have to do. And he instructs him in the way of meditating on the Lord, how to meditate on the Lord. And so finally, Dhruva, after meditating for not very long, certainly not 10,000 years like the Prachetas. It was only, I think, about 3 months or 6 months. 6 months. Yeah, but he was doing severe austerities. Anyway, finally, he's meditating on the Lord in his heart. He's seeing him. He's a little bit disturbed by this. He opens his eyes and wondering, what happened? Why did the Lord leave? And there he is standing right in front of him. I mean, how amazing is that? And so he's just dumbfounded. And the Lord can see that he's dumbfounded. And so he very mercifully kind of bunks him on the head with his conch nicely, nicely, not in a mean way. And suddenly Dhruva is then able to start that what he had desired before, what he was looking for was like broken glass. When he's seeing the true gem before him, which is the Lord. And so all of Dhruva's distress about being shunned, by being hurt in a very, very harsh way by his stepmother is gone because he's seeing the Lord face to face, right? And furthermore, he no longer even wants that kingdom greater than his father's and his grandfather's because his distress is completely gone. He no longer has that need to sort of like one up his family, right? And it's more than one, I guess, if you want a kingdom greater than the whole universe. So another example of this would be Sudama, right? Sudama was a Brahmana. He was a childhood friend of Krishna, and they went to Gurukul together. And later on, as Sudama was an adult, he had a wife, and they were just very poor. They just really didn't have very much. And Sudama was getting very sick. He was very sick, not very sick, but he was just too thin. He was too thin. He wasn't eating enough. And his wife was getting concerned. And she said, look, why don't you go to Krishna? Krishna is your friend. Maybe he can do something. And so Sudama, not wanting to put his wife into distress any longer, he went to go visit Krishna. And he tried to gather up a gift, for Krishna, because you don't want to go empty-handed. And so all he could manage to gather was a handful of chipped rice. But he got it, I think, from the neighbors and stuff. They kind of got that together. And he went to go see Krishna. And then when he got there, he was too embarrassed to give him the rice because he felt like this gift is just too meager, right? And so he gets there, and Krishna embraces him as a friend and sits him down and washes his feet and takes care of him. And it's a very beautiful story. And so Sudama, he never even asked Krishna for help. He, maybe like many of us, he was just, didn't want to impose on him. I don't know what it is, but he didn't even ask Krishna for help. But Krishna treated him so nicely, like an old friend. And Sudama leaves and he goes home only to find that there's this big, beautiful house there. His wife's there, but she's dressed in fine clothing now. And that was because Krishna could tell, that they were in distress. And so Krishna gave him, a nice, beautiful house and resources in order to live in a much nicer way, right? And so Sudama no longer had that distress of not having enough to eat, or of having his wife be distressed that maybe he's getting too thin, Another really great example is Arjuna on the battlefield, right? Arjuna was so distressed on the battlefield. He's saying, seeing his loved ones on the other side of the, he's going to have to fight with his teachers, his relatives, right? That's distressing. I mean, for anybody, I think that would be distressing, because nobody wants to fight to the death with people that they care about, right? So of course this was very distressing to him. But Krishna, he stood with Arjuna and told him the absolute truth, taught Arjuna what his true constitutional position was, what the true constitutional position was of everybody that was on the battlefield. And with that knowledge, Arjuna, his distress was relieved, right? Because that supreme truth is what is so relieving. The same with us when we hear that supreme truth, as Krishna told Arjuna on the battlefield, that can relieve our distress. I know it did for me personally, and to truly understand that we're eternal spirit souls and that we're not in control. Krishna's in control, right? And that in order to get out of this cycle of birth, death, old age, over and over and over again, then we do devotional service. So let's see. One more that I thought of was Gajendra, right? Gajendra is this great king of the elephants, and he's frolicking in the water with his lady elephants and having a nice time, and suddenly, and Gajendra in his previous life was a pious king, but he's frolicking with his lady elephants, and suddenly a crocodile or an alligator, I think it's crocodile, yeah. So he grabs him, and normally Gajendra would have no problem fighting him off, except for in the water, and the water's sort of the crocodile's territory, right? He's just more adept at being able to move in the water, and so he's fighting this crocodile, and he's starting to get weak, and they fought for a very long time. I mean, do you guys remember how long it was? It's like 1,000 years or something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, a long time. And he started to get weak and realize, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of this fight. And so he sees a lotus flower in the river, and he picks it, and he just holds it up with his trunk, and he remembers a prayer from his past life, and he says that. And so just like Draupadi, right? He just, and so here comes the Supreme Lord on Garuda to save him, right? And kills the crocodile and saves him. And so that distress that he had was immediately relieved when he got to see the Lord coming to save him, right? I could only imagine how that must feel. Like there was one time when I was in a horrible accident when I was about 15, and in a motor vehicle accident. And so I was laying in the road, very, very severely injured. And I remember seeing, everybody kind of scrambling around, trying to secure the scene and help me and everything, but they didn't want to move me because, they don't know if I had a head or a neck injury or back injury, which I did. And so I just remember kind of looking at all this, and I was distressed. I was looking at my legs were broken. I was distressed. And then I saw an ambulance come. And I remember, like, as soon as I saw that ambulance, I was still in distress, but a lot of the distress lessened. And then I don't really remember much after that. And so I could only imagine how much greater that relief of distress would be when you see the actual Supreme Lord coming for you, right? So, I don't know, can any of you guys think of any story like that where, you've heard of the Lord kind of relieving that distress of a devotee? And if you can't, that's okay. No?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Do you remember, it would seem it was cursed. It was something to think of.
Yeah,
It just seemed like it was
it seemed very silly. I remember, at least that's what I thought too, but I can't remember the exact circumstances. Do you remember?
Yeah, he had gotten a garland, and he, instead of putting it on and relishing and appreciating.
That's right.
Threw it to it. And the elephant dropped it and tromped on it.
Yeah. Okay, well, as this will bring me to my later point, in that all things that the Lord does is auspicious. So, I mean, even though he got cursed because of that to you and me kind of seems like not such a huge thing. The curse ended up working out great for him because he got to see the Lord face to face. Like the Lord came down to save him. I mean, like, how ecstatic is that?
I do have one that was kind of not exactly the same, but I was in a health food store and somehow I was ruptured, and then somebody put a Hare Krishna chatter under my head. And I didn't realize that till later. And I thought, wow, Krishna came and saved me.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, wow. So you were in a health food store and something happened?
Yeah, I mean, I had endometriosis.
Oh, yeah.
And I was having trouble with rupturing, and yeah, it was very painful. And then I just went down. But yeah, later I found this Hare Krishna chatter on my head, and I thought, wow.
Yeah, because the Lord's always there, right? He doesn't forget you. I have a very mundane. Oh, go ahead.
This is nothing compared to that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, every festival I go through this, I'm like, oh no, the person that's doing the Lakshmi is not going to show up. The person that's doing, the music, or the person that's supposed to do the boutique, they're not going to show up. And then when I see them coming on in the gate,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Radha.
Prahlad is a great.
Yeah, Prahlad, absolutely, right? How distressing is it if your dad keeps trying to yeah, and the Lord saved him every time. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment because last night Ganga Maitri made a point that I've never heard before, and he said it was from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary about Sudam Weaver, that actually he had a fault, that he was actually a little proud of being so renounced. And so that's why Krishna gave him so much opulence, because then he couldn't be
renounced.
He didn't have anything anymore because then he had so much. Krishna always, even if we have a little bit of false ego or whatever it is, be sure that Krishna will be chopping that off at a certain time for our own purification and glorification, like with Sudam, when we were talking about him thousands of years later as an example of a surrendered soul.
Yeah, Krishna knows how to write that prescription just right? Exactly what we need. Yeah. Okay, Jamuna, yeah.
Krishna came for Draupadi too when Duryodhana and Vasamani away from the house. And there was just there was no food left to eat.
Oh, yes.
Krishna had the one morsel that everyone didn't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that would be super distressing, right? All these people show up at your house and there's nothing to feed them. I mean, I've been in a small version of that situation. It's distressing. I couldn't imagine, Wow. I mean, just one example I remember that really sticks out to me is when we used to go to the park and do Harinam, where we'd sit, and sometimes it would be wintertime. It'd be really cold. And I remember, especially as the sun went down, it would start to get really, really cold. And we'd be so cold unless we were chanting, right? And if we're chanting, we didn't feel the cold. We didn't feel that, right? And so as soon as we'd stop, the cold would settle in. And then we'd be like, okay, we better start chanting again, right? So, because we're in distress over the cold, but Krishna was keep chanting and you'll be fine. All right, so I didn't realize how late it's getting. Let's see. So one point that I think is interesting is that Krishna might not always remove that distress externally. He might not always, bail
us out.
Yeah, he might not always bail us out. He might not always, give us a big, beautiful house like Sudama or whatever it is. But he can transform that distress internally and give us a mood sort of like Queen Kunti had, right? Queen Kunti had all these terrible things happening to her family, to her loved ones. But then her prayers are so beautiful because she's saying, give me these calamities again and again, because then it is then that I see you, my Lord, right? And so, you'd think, wow, that's so distressing, all those things that she's gone through. But no, she took that distress and Krishna was able to transform it into ecstasy, basically, right? And so much so that she's saying, give me these distresses again and again, right? And so that's important to remember. So another part of this verse is where it says, hold on. Yeah, you cannot be perceived by material senses, right? So the Prachetas is saying you cannot be perceived by material senses. And so this made me think of, there's people that say, well, if there's a God, show me, right? If there's a God, show him to me, prove it, right? But, or they'll say things, why believe in God? He hurts, that hurts children. Children are dying. Hurricanes are happening. Earthquakes are going on, right? Why would I want to believe in God when all these terrible things are going on? Right? People say this, but they don't understand that actually everything that Krishna does is auspicious, right? Even these horrible things that are happening, there is some, what do they say? A method to the madness, right? Just like Gajendra, right? Being cursed to the king being cursed to become an elephant, become Gajendra, right? That didn't just for that, casting off that garland. Seems pretty messed up, right? It seems kind of messed up, but it ended up being a great benefit to Gajendra, right? Gajendra getting hurt by that crocodile, fighting that crocodile forever. That seemed pretty awful. But it ended up being a great benefit because Gajendra was able to see the Lord face to face and then able to get out of the material world, right? And so it's just that people we cannot see because our senses are covered over. And so the process of devotional service is what allows us to see God, or Krishna and to experience God or Krishna, right? So the most famous example of this is in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna asked to see Krishna's universal form, right? And what does Krishna say? He says, well, you cannot see with your current eyes. I need to give you divine eyes. And then he says, behold my mystic opulence, right? And that's because, with our material eyes, we cannot see, right? We can see, of course, we can see material things, but we can't see God. But we can get our own divine eyes, just like Arjuna got his own divine eyes. We can get our own divine eyes by practicing Krishna consciousness, by chanting his holy name, because all qualities of Krishna are including his name. And so I just have a few little quotes and then we'll end because it's getting kind of late. So these are let's see, I forgot to read all these other things I had on here. Oh, well. Okay, so this is from the 6th canto. It says, one who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly, like Ajamil, right? To indicate something else when the Ajamil is calling out for his son. Jokingly, which we see this a lot when we go on Harinam, right? Like people might make fun of us or something, and they'll say, oh, and they'll make fun of us, but they're still chanting, right? Or for musical entertainment, right? We see this too. There's people that perform kirtan, like for basically as a concert, not really so much as a spiritual thing. Or even neglectfully, which, if you're ever chanting your japa on your phone, right? This is by all learned scholars of the scriptures. So that means that we'll be immediately freed from the reactions of limited sins. That's a good deal, right? So in the 12th canto, it says, my dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there's still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from the material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. So we're very fortunate to be here in Kali Yuga. It's actually said in the 11th canto that there are souls that want to be born in Kali Yuga, right? Because it's like, spiritual life is sort of on sale, right? On sale, get it now, right? Whereas in previous lives, you'd have to meditate for 10,000 years under the ocean. No? You don't want to do that? No. Or even like for 6 months, like Dhruva, eating grass, and then not even eating, just not even breathing except every 12 days or something like that. Right? So, I don't know about you guys, but I can't do those things. But I can chant the holy name. And so we're so fortunate that we are here right now, that we can chant the holy name and that we can have the effects of all that meditating under the ocean for 10,000 years, or eating grass only every 6 days, or breathing every 12 days or something. We can have those effects by chanting the holy name, right? So I want to be free from distress, and you truly want to see Krishna, and you want to experience Krishna, then we should chant his names. So I think I'll end there. If there's any comments or questions. Yeah.
So auspiciousness through Krishna, and you spoke about disasters that have happened here on Mother Earth. That for him, as in like saying that, hey, yes, Krishna is part of all of that. But I like the like your perception on it, and how you spoke about it, because that talk about different gods, but they never talk about the bad stuff that their gods do.
Yeah.
or that what their entities or their deities or demons or whatever they're doing. You know, they don't talk about that. But I do believe in that. That has to be a negative for there to be a positive, like a magnet, action to reaction. So if now we're thinking about God's actions and how He auspiciously makes the world go around, then I would have to say that He's perfect. Like, imperfect is an understatement for His type of actions.
Yeah.
Because we like Krishna. I mean, I believe in the order of chaos. Be chaos for there to be right. I believe in chaos in the world, so we could learn right from wrong, wrong from right. And going back to, I spoke to Guranga Prema about it. In the book of Hare Krishna about Bhagavad Gita, it talks about Hare Krishna about Bhagavad Gita. It talks about Krishna being, I think I spoke to you about it too, in the form of an 8. So it spins around. And the only thing that's in space or heaven, whatever we can call it, that spins around in that same form, auspiciously, not creating the same, not going over the same path, is the butterfly effect, which is the chaos theory.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't remember that part of the infinity symbol, but Krishna is eternal. So and He's the beginning and the end. So if that's what you mean, sure. But I mean, what I think, what you're referring to is the actions of karma, right? There's actions and reactions, right? And so that's karma, right? We're so things that contribute to, say that are bad are just reaction of actions that interact.
Their lesson. Their lesson. After all this stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you remember how many there were?
I thought there was 10. No, it seems like it was almost a year ago, right? Like,
Right.
so
We read it not too long ago.
We'll have to trace that back.
yeah. I'll have to look at that one when I get. All right, Dr. Raj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Thank you. Good class.
Thank you.